Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome back to the daily readings of Srila Prabhupada's books. As America burns in the coronavirus, we're cool as cucumbers over here in the haven, hearing Sri Caitanya-caritämrta with you all. Einstein said that if defined insanity as doing the same thing and expecting a different results. So the leadership of America is trying to wish away the coronavirus, but the coronavirus doesn't respond to wishing. It does its business. Okay. We have to help them. This is as much as we can do at the moment. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur made a poetic statement glorifying the Sri Caitanya-caritämrta. I'm sure you'll be able to remember it by now. You probably all have it memorized, but this is really what we do. We repeat things again and again until it sinks in. As he stood up after ending a lecture in Munjer, an earth tremor caused mild flooding of the adjacent Ganga. The water soon receded, after which Srila Saraswati Thakur said, "In due course, Mahäprabhu will inundate the entire universe. If you attempt to survive by swimming in that deluge, then do not neglect to take hold of Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, and Sri Caitanya-caritämrta. Or, if you cannot hold all three, then release Bhagavad Gita. If necessary, you may also relinquish Srimad Bhagavatam. But under no circumstances release your hold on Sri Caitanya-caritämrta. For if this one book remains, then the flood can do no actual damage, because after it is subsided, the message of Shastra can be revived from Sri Caitanya-caritämrta alone, it being the essence of all Shastra." Jai Jai Sri Chaitanya Jai Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jai Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. We reached the 111th verse of the 13th chapter of Ädi-lilä. We've launched into the nectarian ocean of the pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahäprabhu. One day, shortly after Lord Chaitanya Mahäprabhu was born, Advaita Acharya's wife, Sita Devi, who is worshipable by the whole world, took her husband's permission, then went to see that topmost child with all kinds of gifts and presentations. Purport. It appears that Advaita Acharya had two different houses, one at Shantipur and one at Navadvip. When Lord Chaitanya Mahäprabhu was born, Advaita Acharya was residing not at his Navadvip house, but at his Shantipur house. Therefore, as formally explained in text 99, from Advaita's old paternal house, Nijalaya, in Shantipur, Sita came to Navadvip to present gifts to the newborn child, Chaitanya Mahäprabhu. Text 112. She brought different kinds of golden ornaments including armlets, necklaces, anklets, and bangles for the hands. Text 113. There were also tiger nails set in gold, waist decorations of silk and lace, ornaments for the hands and legs, nicely printed silken saris, and a child's garment, also made of silk. Many other riches, including gold and silver coins, were also presented to the child. Purport. From the gifts presented by Sita Thakurani, Advaita Acharya's wife, it appears that Advaita Acharya was at that time a very rich man. Although Brahmanas are not the rich men of society, Advaita Acharya, being the leader of the Brahmanas in Shantipur, was considerably well-to-do. Therefore he presented many ornaments to the baby, Lord Chaitanya Mahäprabhu. But Kamalakanta Vishwashas, asking for 300 rupees from the king of Jagannath Puri, Maharaj Prataparudra, on the plea that Advaita Acharya was in debt for that amount, indicates that such a rich man, who could present many valuable ornaments, saris, etc., thought it difficult to repay 300 rupees. Therefore, the value of a rupee at that time was many thousands of times what it is now. At present, no one feels difficulty over a debt of 300 rupees, nor can an ordinary man accumulate such valuable ornaments to present to a friend's son. Probably the value of 300 rupees at that time was equal to the present value of 30,000 rupees. Text 114. Riding in a palanquin covered with cloth and accompanied by maidservants, Sita Thakurani came to the house of Jagannath Mishra, bringing with her many auspicious articles such as fresh grass, paddy, gorochana, turmeric, kumkum, and sandalwood. All these presentations filled a large basket. Purport. The words Vastragupta Dola are significant in this verse. Even 50 or 60 years ago in Calcutta, all respectable ladies would go to a neighboring place riding on a palanquin carried by 4 men. The palanquin was covered with soft cotton, and in that way there was no chance of seeing a respectable lady traveling in public. Ladies, especially those coming from respectable families, could not be seen by ordinary men. This system is still current in remote places. The Sanskrit word Asurya Pasha indicates that a respectable lady could not be seen even by the sun. In the Oriental culture, this system was very prevalent and was strictly observed by respectable ladies, both Hindu and Muslim. We have actual experience in our childhood that our mother would not walk even next door to observe an invitation. Rather, she would go in either a carriage or a palanquin carried by 4 men. This custom was also strictly followed 500 years ago, and the wife of Advaita Acharya, being a very respectable lady, observed the customary rules current in that social environment. I'll repeat that. This custom was also strictly followed 500 years ago, and the wife of Advaita Acharya, being a very respectable lady, observed the customary rules current in that social environment. Observed the customary rules current in that social environment. Text 115. When Sita Thakurani came to the house of Shachidevi, bringing with her many kinds of eatables, dresses, and other gifts, she was astonished to see the newborn child, for she appreciated that except for a difference in color, the child was directly Krishna of Gokula himself. Purport. A petari is a kind of big basket that is carried in pairs on the ends of a rod balanced over the shoulders. A man who carries such a load is called a bari. This system of carrying luggage and packages is still current in India and other Oriental countries, and we have seen that the same system is still current even in Jakarta, Indonesia. Text 116. Seeing the transcendental bodily effulgence of the child, each of his nicely constructed limbs full of auspicious signs and resembling a form of gold, Sita Thakurani was very much pleased, and because of her maternal affection, she felt as if her heart were melting. Text 117. She blessed the newborn child by placing fresh grass and paddy on his head and saying, "May you be blessed with a long duration of life." But being afraid of ghosts and witches, she gave the child the name Nimai. Purport. Dakini and Shankini are two companions of Lord Shiva and his wife who were supposed to be extremely inauspicious, having been born of ghostly life. It is believed that such inauspicious living creatures cannot go in neem tree. At least medically, it is accepted that neem wood is extremely antiseptic, and formerly it was customary to have a neem tree in front of one's house. On very large roads in India, especially in Uttar Pradesh, there are hundreds and thousands of neem trees. Neem wood is so antiseptic that the Ayurvedic science uses it to cure leprosy. Medical scientists have extracted the active principle of the neem tree, which is called margosic acid. Neem is used for many purposes, especially to brush the teeth. In Indian villages, 90% of the people use neem twigs for this purpose. Because of all the antiseptic effects of the neem tree, and because Lord Chaitanya was born beneath a neem tree, Sita Thakurani gave the Lord the name Nimai. Later in his youth, he was celebrated as Nimai Pandit, and in the neighborhood villages he was called by that name, although his real name was Vishwambar. Text 118. On the day the mother and son bathed and left the maternity home, Sita Thakurani gave them all kinds of ornaments and garments, and then also honored Jagannath Mishra. Then Sita Thakurani, being honored by Mother Sachidevi and Jagannath Mishra, was greatly happy within her mind, and thus she returned home. Purport. On the 5th day from the birth of a child, as also on the 9th day, the mother bathes either in the Ganges or in another sacred place. This is called Nishkramana, or the ceremony of coming out of the maternity home. Nowadays, the maternity home is a hospital, but formerly, in every respectable house, one room was set aside as the maternity home, where children would take birth. And on the 9th day after the birth of a child, the mother would come into the regular rooms in a ceremony called Nishkramana. Of the 10 purificatory processes, Nishkramana is one. Formerly, especially in Bengal, the higher castes observed 4 months after the birth of a child as a quarantine. At the end of the 4th month, the mother could see the sun rise. Later, the higher castes, namely the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, and Vaishyas, observed only 21 days as a quarantine, whereas the Shudras had to observe 30 days. For the sections of society known as Karta Bhaja and Satima, the mother of the child was immediately purified after the quarantine by process of hariluta, the throwing of small pieces of sweetmeat in Sankirtan. Shachi Devi and Jagannath Mishra with the newborn child were honored by Sita Thakurani. Similarly, while Sita Thakurani was returning home, she was also honored by Shachi Devi and Jagannath Mishra. That was the system in respectable families of Bengal. Text 119. In this way, Shachi Devi and Jagannath Mishra, having obtained a son who was the husband of the goddess of fortune, had all their desires fulfilled. Their house was always filled with riches and grains. As they saw the beloved body of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, day after day, their pleasure increased. Purport. Lord Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, everyone offered respect to him. Even the denizens of heaven used to come in the dress of ordinary men to offer their respect to the Lord. His father and mother, Jagannath Mishra and Shachi Devi, seeing the honor of their transcendental son, also became very pleased within their hearts. Text 120. Jagannath Mishra was an ideal Vaishnava. He was peaceful, restrained in sense gratification, pure and controlled. Therefore he had no desire to enjoy material opulence. Whatever money came, because of the influence of his transcendental son, he gave it in charity to the Brahmanas for the satisfaction of Vishnu. Text 121. After calculating the birth moment of Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu, Nilambara Chakravarti privately said to Jagannath Mishra that he saw all the different symptoms of a great personality in both the body and birth moment of the child. Thus he understood that in the future this child would deliver all the three worlds. Text 122. In this way, Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu, out of his causeless mercy, made his advent in the house of Shachi Devi. Lord Chaitanya is very merciful to anyone who hears this narration of his birth, and such a person attains the lotus feet of the Lord. Hare Krishna. Congratulations to all the devotees who are presently hearing this auspicious narration of Lord Chaitanya's birth. For being granted the ability to attain the lotus feet of the Lord. Text 123. Anyone who attains a human body but does not take to the cult of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu is baffled in his opportunity. Amrita Duni is a flowing river of the nectar of devotional service. If after getting a human body, one drinks the water of a poison pit of material happiness, instead of the water of such a river, it would be better for him not to have lived, but to have died long ago. Purport. In this connection, Srimat Prabodhananda Saraswati has composed the following verses in his Caitanya-caritämrta 37, 36, and 34. Achaitanyam idam vishwam yadi chaitanyam ishwaram navidu sarvashastragya pyapi brahmyanti te janaha. This material world is without Krishna consciousness. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna consciousness personified. Therefore, if a very learned scholar or a scientist does not understand Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, certainly he is wandering uselessly in this world. Prasarita Mahaprema Piyusha Rasasagare Caitanya-caritämrta prakate Yo dino dina eva saha. A person who does not take advantage of the nectar of devotional service overflowing during the presence of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's cult is certainly the poorest of the poor. Avatirne Gaurachandre Vistirne Premasagare Suprakash Shitarat Nauge Yo dino dina eva saha. The advent of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is just like an expanding ocean of nectar. One who does not collect the valuable jewels within this ocean is certainly the poorest of the poor. Similarly, Srimad Bhagavatam 2, 3, 19, 20, and 23 states, Shwavid vara hostakadai sangstutak purushak pashuhu nayat karna patepato jatu nama gadagrajaha bile batura krama bikramanye nashrin vatak karnapute narasya jivasati dara dure ke vasutta nachopagayat urugayat gataha jivanchavo bhagavatangri venum najatu martyo bilabete jastu Sri Vishnu Padya manujastu lasyaha Sri Vishnu Padya manujastu lasya Shwashan chavo yas to naveda gandham. A person who has no connection with Krishna consciousness may be a very great personality in so-called human society, but actually he is no better than a great animal. Such big animals are generally praised by other animals like dogs, hogs, camels, and asses. A person who does not lend his oral reception to hearing about the Supreme Personality of Godhead must be considered to have ear holes like holes in a field. Although a person has a tongue, it is like the tongue of a frog, which unnecessarily creates a disturbance by croaking, inviting the snake of death. Similarly, a person who neither takes advantage of the dust of the lotus feet of great devotees, nor smells of the tulsi leaves offered to the lotus feet of the Lord, must be considered dead, even though he is supposedly working. Similarly, Srimad Bhagavatam 10:14 states, Nivriti tarshaya upagiyamanad bhavo sadach chotramano bidamad ka uttama shloka gunanuvadat puman bidajay chitabhina pashugnat. Who but the animal killer or the killer of the soul will not care to hear glorification of the Supreme Personality of Godhead? Such glorification is enjoyed by persons liberated from the contamination of this material world. Similarly, Srimad Bhagavatam 3:23-56 says, Natirtha pada sevayai jivan apimrito hisaha. Although a person is apparently living, if he does not serve the lotus feet of great devotees, he is to be considered a dead body. Hare Krishna. Just one second. Taking on my head as my own property the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu, Acharya Advaita Chandra, Sarup Damodar, Rupa Goswami, and Raghunath Das Goswami, I, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, have thus described the advent of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Purport. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda, Advaita Prabhu, Sarup Damodar, Rupa Goswami, Raghunath Das, and their followers are all accepted by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. Anyone who follows in the footsteps of Kaviraj Goswami also accepts the lotus feet of the above-mentioned lords as his personal property. For a materialistic person, material wealth and opulence are only illusion. Actually, they are not possessions, but entanglements, because by enjoying the material world, a conditioned soul becomes more and more entangled in incurring debts for his present enjoyment. Unfortunately, a conditioned soul considers property for which he is in debt to be his own, and he is very busy acquiring such property. But a devotee considers such property not real property, but simply an entanglement in the material world. If Lord Krishna is very pleased with a devotee, he takes away his material property, as he states in Srimad Bhagavatam 10:88-8, Yasyaham anugrinami harishe tadanam shanahi. To show special favor to a devotee, I take away all his material property. Similarly, Narottam Das Thakur says, Dhanamora Nityananda Radha Krishna Sri Chadana Se Mora Prana Dana. My real riches are Nityananda Prabhu and the lotus feet of Sri Radha and Krishna. He further prays, O Lord, kindly give me this opulence. I do not want anything but your lotus feet as my property. Srila Narottam Das Thakur has sung in many places that his real property is the lotus feet of Radha and Krishna. Unfortunately, we are interested in unreal property and are neglecting our real property. Adane yatanakari, dana te yaginu. Sometimes smartas consider Raghunath Das Goswami a Shudra, but Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami here especially mentions Sarupa Rupa Raghunatha Das. Therefore, one who considers the lotus feet of Raghunath Das to be transcendental to all divisions of the caste system enjoys the riches of actual spiritual bliss. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports to Sri Caitanya-caritämrta, Ädi-lilä, 13th chapter, describing the advent of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Jai Gaur Hari Ki Jai, Jai Sachinandana, Jai Sachinandana, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Ki Jai, Nimai Pandit Ki Jai, Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bo. So, that was just a refreshing burst of transcendental bliss, just drifting into our ear holes, making our ear holes more meaningful than the holes in the fields. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So I'm going to end our reading tonight a little early, but let's open it up to reflections. Hare Krishna, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Sri Krishna, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita, Gadadhar, Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. All glories to Srila Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj. His leaving was a inflection point of our movement. Actually, maybe I'll read something. Could you get me the... it's right there on top of the diary, I think. Underneath that, yeah. Thank you. I don't know how many of you are aware of this, but there was a little book. It's only it's only 105 pages long. It's called Srila Prabhupada, the founder Acharya of ISKCON. It's a GBC foundational document, and it was in the process of being written for years, actually. And the draft, one draft after another, was passed around to the senior leaders of our movement for their comments and edits and so forth and so on. And it's a highly refined document, actually, that is chronicling the events leading up to Srila Prabhupada's establishment of ISKCON as a separate society from the Gaudiya Math, and his allowance, or insistence rather, of his name as the founder Acharya to be accompanying the name of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness wherever it was in print, whether it be a card or a pamphlet or a leaflet or a poster or book or whatever, letterhead. Always he insisted that his name as the founder Acharya be included. So there is a foreword to this book that was written by guess who? Bhakti Charu Swami. And it is, he's famous, Bhakti Charu Maharaj, for so many of his divine, saintly, cultured, spiritual qualities, and his friendliness and affection that he showed for everyone in his... But this piece of writing shows a kind of loyalty to Srila Prabhupada's conception of his movement that is not as well known, but is well known, but is not as well known as those other things that he did while he was present among us. I want to read it to you, and I'm going to print this out and write a little, maybe, covering letter and send it out, hopefully tonight. That's one of the reasons why I was going to stop early. But anyway, this might take the rest of my time. Forward. Srila Prabhupada, the founder, Acharya of ISKCON. Forward. Srila Prabhupada was undoubtedly the personality sent by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to fulfill his prediction. Quote, I have incarnated to inaugurate the Sankirtan movement. I will deliver all the fallen souls of this world. In every town and village of the world, the chanting of my Nam Sankirtan movement will spread. Chaitanya Bhagavat, Antya 4, 120, 126. To understand Srila Prabhupada's unique role in Gaudiya perspective, we must journey back in time and gain historical insight of how Caitanya Mahaprabhu's plan to fulfill his prediction is gradually unfolding. Upon his return from Gaya, Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu began his Nam Sankirtan mission, and in distributing Nam Prema, he and his associates did not consider who was a fit candidate and who was not, nor where such distribution should or should not take place. They made no conditions. Wherever they got the opportunity, the members of the Panchatattva distributed love of Godhead. Caitanya-caritämrta, Ädi-lilä 7:23. This flood of Nam Prema swelled in all directions and continued to benedict this world under the shelter of empowered preachers like the six Goswamis, Srinivasacharya, Narottam Das Thakur, and Shyamananda Prabhu. Unfortunately, after the disappearance of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu and these empowered associates of his, a very dark age descended on the world of Gaudiya Vaishnavism. By Kali's influence, many aprasampradayas, deviant sects, totally eclipsed Caitanya Mahaprabhu's pure presentation of Krishna consciousness with their unscrupulous materialistic doctrines and practices. And they did that in his name. Soon, his teachings came to be identified with immorality, dogma, and antisocial elements. As a result, the cultured and educated people of Indian society developed a deep aversion to Caitanya Mahaprabhu. This dark age continued for almost 250 years. In order to revive his Sankirtan movement and once again illuminate the Gaudiya sky, Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu then sent one of his intimate associates, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, to this world. Possessed of transcendental prowess, Bhaktivinoda Thakur wrote tirelessly to defeat all unauthorized and deviant philosophies opposed to Caitanya Mahaprabhu's presentation of Krishna consciousness. Through his tireless and dedicated writing, he exposed all the adharmic philosophies of that time and once again revealed to the world Caitanya Mahaprabhu's path of supreme auspiciousness and compassion. His Nam Sankirtan mission. These writings would later form the philosophical foundation for Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's systematic and institutionally based plan to set into motion fulfillment of Caitanya Mahaprabhu's prediction. Bhaktivinoda Thakur's rediscovery of Caitanya Mahaprabhu's birthplace and his giving of a blueprint in the form of his Nam Hata to realize Caitanya Mahaprabhu's desire that Nam Sankirtan be propagated all over the world were a very clear and remarkable indication of his absolute conviction in Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu's words. However, he knew that this massive work, massive task of spreading Krishna consciousness all over the world would need the collective involvement of thousands of people for many generations. It could not and would not be just one man's work. A transcendental institution was an absolute necessity. His fervent prayers to Lord Jagannath were answered, and Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur appeared in this world as his son to give practical shape to his blueprint in the form of the Gaudiya mission. Within 15 short years, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur spread Caitanya Mahaprabhu's Sankirtan movement all over India and attracted many luminaries of that time to assist him in his mission. 64 mats dedicated to propagating Caitanya Mahaprabhu's teachings were established in India during this time. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur recognized the importance of his institution for continuing vigorous preaching after his departure from this world. He emphatically and very openly instructed his leading disciples that his Gaudiya mission be managed and maintained by a governing body. Surprisingly, he did not nominate anyone as his spiritual successor. He left this world on 1st January 1937, and almost immediately dissension and quarrel arose within the Gaudiya mission. Very soon, the institution, which had always been known for pure and bold preaching of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teachings, became famous for its embroiled factions, fractions, and court cases. Two contending factions fought for acharyaship, and many senior disciples left the institution in disgust. The unified entity of the Gaudiya mission was an all-India entity consisting of many centers, several presses, and thousands of devotees working cooperatively under unified leadership ceased to exist. Illusions of proprietorship and prestige eclipsed Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's order, and his mission to develop a worldwide movement for propagating Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teachings came to a grinding halt. Our Srila Prabhupada, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, was heartbroken by this tragic turn of events. But it was very evident from his activities that he perfectly understood his spiritual master's heart and mission. 1. As soon as a few New York followers took his message to heart, he legally incorporated his institution. He named it the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, and also legally stated its 7 purposes. This all happened as early as 1966. To continue Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission and secure ISKCON's transcendental legacy, Srila Prabhupada very systematically established the governing body, commission, and very emphatically instructed his senior followers, don't make the same mistake that my godbrothers made after my Guru Maharaj's disappearance. Manage the society collectively through the GBC. That's a quote. 3. To secure ISKCON as a transcendental mission with a strong philosophical and cultural base, he tirelessly and meticulously translated and commented on the most important and sublime of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teachings in the form of Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, and Caitanya-caritämrta. And he emphatically said that his books are the basis of his Krishna consciousness movement and the institution of ISKCON. 4. And like his Guru Maharaj, he did not name or select a successor for his ISKCON. Rather, he wanted his disciples to collectively manage the institution through a governing body. When I was Srila Prabhupada's personal servant, I noted many times that he would insist that on any printed material, the title Founder Acharya and his full name be printed under the Society's name of ISKCON. I was very immature and inexperienced at that time, and often wondered, Srila Prabhupada is such a humble and exalted Vaishnava, why is he so persistently insisting on this? I did not ever openly express this to Srila Prabhupada, but it continued to perplex me. But slowly, by his divine grace, in due course of time, I began to understand his intent. The phrase Founder Acharya is not just a title, but a transcendental system intended to protect, preserve, and give longevity to an institution dedicated to the mass liberation of conditioned souls, all over this world in this dark, abysmal age of Kali. Great Vaishnava stalwarts like Sri Madhvacharya and Sri Ramanujacharya successfully implemented this system. Obviously, full implementation of this system in ISKCON is crucial to the successful fulfillment of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's prediction. I shared this realization with a number of my senior godbrothers and was enlivened to find that Srila Prabhupada had blessed them with the same insight. Then in 2006, the GBC body formed various committees to plan and achieve different strategic objectives. One committee is the Srila Prabhupada Position Committee, SPPC, whose mission is to assist the existing efforts and develop new initiatives to eternally establish Srila Prabhupada as the founder Acharya of ISKCON and the preeminent Shiksha Guru for all ISKCON devotees. This book is an initiative of the SPPC. His Grace Rabindra Sarup Prabhu, who was undoubtedly one of ISKCON's most brilliant thinkers and writers, wrote the book, and all the GBC members and many senior devotees have seriously and diligently scrutinized it. This book is thoroughly researched and based on Shastra and historical facts. It is academic in nature and provides a foundation on which we can build a holistic culture of education meant to firmly and very practically establish Srila Prabhupada's position as the founder Acharya of ISKCON. Of course, pure Krishna consciousness acknowledges no technique. Its only base is humility and absolute surrender. And it is in this mood that we offer this publication to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Srila Prabhupada, and all his devotees. Kindly note that this book is not meant for casual reading, but for implementation. If we do that, our personal and collective relationships with Srila Prabhupada will flourish unlimitedly, and we will come to very practically understand that our beloved founder Acharya is not frozen in time. He is an eternal assistant of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's divine flood of compassion and Krishna prema, and his heart melts and flows without restriction or impediment to anyone and everyone who shows the slightest interest in his teachings and the Nam Sankirtan mission. We humbly seek your kind and active support in implementing the next important step in Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's plan to flood the entire world with Krishna prema, to firmly and very practically establish Srila Prabhupada as the founder Acharya of ISKCON for all time. Thank you very much. Yours in the service of Srila Prabhupada, Bhakti Charu Swami, Vrindavan, India, November 2013. So if that does not cement Maharaja's position as an undying and loyal follower of Srila Prabhupada, I don't know what will. So this book has not been widely distributed. It is not read, I don't think, by many devotees. And therefore, I don't know how many will even remember that His Holiness Bhakti Charu Maharaj wrote that beautiful foreword to this book. So I humbly but forcefully ask everyone to get this book. You can download it for free off of the GBC website, and read it and pass it around and try to assimilate the conclusion. It's very well documented. All of the different letters that were exchanged between Srila Prabhupada and his godbrothers before he established the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, are very expertly arranged in such a way that is very scholarly, as Bhakti Churu Maharaj said in his foreword. And we will get a sense of unity that cannot be achieved in any other way except by consciously putting Srila Prabhupada in the center as the founder Acharya and the imminent Shiksha Guru of everyone in ISKCON as long as it exists. Hare Krishna. Srila Bhakti Churu Swami Maharaj Ki Jai. I think I'll try to get that published in Dandavats. Okay, that's it, kids. Exactly 8 o'clock. That must have been, I just spontaneously did that. I didn't plan. Somehow or other I thought if I stopped a little early that I would be able to do this, what I just said I was going to do. Print it out and send it. Okay, reflections. Go ahead. It's your turn.
First I wanted to say, Yadutama Prabhu copied and pasted the link for downloading that on the comments.
Oh, good.
And the first question is from Gauranga Gopal.
Hey Gauranga Gopal, Hare Krishna.
He says, Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my most humble obeisances. Today my question was brought to my mind with the departure of Bhakti Churu Maharaj. We have been hearing how much his personality touched the heart of many, and how they now find themselves in deep grief. I also heard how much it reminded some of his godbrothers of Srila Prabhupada's own departure from this world in 1977, and that the pain of seeing our spiritual master leaving their body is the most terrible thing that can ever happen to a disciple. I feel restless to think that if this situation happened to me with my own spiritual master, I would not be able to be affected in the same way. Then, how can one develop such a deep relationship and attachment for his spiritual master and not see this relationship in a mundane way? Thank you, your servant.
Well, you have to hear with utter humility and submission his instructions very carefully. You have to follow in his footsteps by following those instructions. And you have to associate with the devotees of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness and continue to dedicate your life completely to the fulfillment of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission and the mission of your spiritual master, which is the same. When you see how all of these things connect together by reading Srila Prabhupada's books, cover to cover, again and again, from now until the time you leave your body, your heart will become softened and eventually it will melt in transcendental pleasure. But what was the one thing that he said about the most horrible thing? What was it?
The pain of seeing our spiritual master leaving their body is the most terrible thing that can ever happen to a disciple.
The most terrible thing that can ever happen to a disciple. That's just not true. It's not true. It's true in the sense that we feel the world vacant. I remember I was looking at Srila Prabhupada's face when he left this world. I was in the room and I was positioned at the foot of his bed and I was looking right at his face when he left this world. And when I realized and I saw his lips move, Hare Krishna. And at that second, for me, the world became vacant. Completely vacant. I looked down and I saw that every single thing about me, how I dressed, how I kept myself, what I thought, what I felt, my whole existence was given to me by Srila Prabhupada. And that feeling stayed with me for some time. But then, by the association of my godbrothers, and by the constant and reoccurring dedication, renewal of my vows to Srila Prabhupada through prayer and practical service, and by, most importantly, by hearing his transcendental literatures, which he said, if you want to know me, read my books. And by hearing the transcendental prayers of the great acharyas that say the Vaishnava, he who thinks Vaishnava dies is mistaken, I understood that Srila Prabhupada never left us. So it's proper that a devotee feel deep grief, but that deep grief will grow when it passes, and it will pass. It will grow into something different. I'll tell you a story which I was going to tell you before, but then we got cut off when Vaishnavi Prabhu called. Srila Prabhupada was entering into Mayapur on the appearance day of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And as he was going down Bhaktisiddhanta Road, and he was approaching Sridham Mayapur, Chandrodaya Mandir, he had the driver slow the car down, and he looked out the window and he paid his pranams to Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And then the car moved on. Well, there was a brahmachari sitting there just next to the road, and he noticed this, and he went to the leaders of the Mat and said to A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, he didn't even stop to pay obeisances to a spiritual master. He just slowed down and then kept on driving. So somehow or other, that got back to Srila Prabhupada, what was said. And Srila Prabhupada, he just smiled. And he said, don't they understand that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was sitting right next to me in the car? He said, I had never feel the, I always feel the presence of my spiritual master. Hare Krishna.
Next is a question from Yudutama.
Yudutama, Hare Krishna.
He says, Hare Krishna, dear Gurudev. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. What does Srila Narottam Das mean that the lotus feet of Radha and Krishna are his real property?
It means it's everything to him. They're everything to him. They're his life and soul. and he recognizes that everything is coming from them, and that the goal of life is to serve them, and that any other conception other than their lotus feet, meaning them, when we speak of this poetic way of glorifying their lordships, when we speak of their lotus feet, it means themselves. It's said poetically like that because we want to be humble servants of the Lord, the divine couple. And because that's all we want, that's our only property. Hare Krishna.
And a comment from Gopakanya Devidasi.
Gopakanya.
She says, yes, dear Maharaj, I have this book, which I got from my Gurudev's hand during the seminar in Ujjain in the year 2015. Thank you. Actually, Gurudev told us to study very scrutinizing again and again. Blessed to hear from your divine lotus mouth. You made my day. Thank you again. All glories to you, your dear brother, Sri Bhakti Charu Swami. All glories to Sri the Prabhupada.
Thank you. Thank you very much. That's the truth. Everybody should be scrutinizing this book, and not just the foreword, which is important to remember your Guru Maharaj, but also the whole book, because it puts everything in proper perspective and will inspire us to want to cooperate together. We're in the Kali Yuga. We're not of the world if we are genuinely in ISKCON, but we are in the world nonetheless, and therefore whatever is going on in the world splashes onto us, whether we like it or not. Just like now we have to wear a mask wherever we go, because of the coronavirus, because of the intense reactions for all the sinful activities that have been going on in the world for so long. Now everybody has to suffer, and we also have to suffer, because we're here. We decided to come here to this material world, and therefore we have to, suffer our lot. So, in order to become impervious to that influence, we have to dedicate ourselves completely. We should have no other interest, we should have no other sense of proprietorship of anything except our devotional service. Hare Krishna. Okay, I'm going to stop now because I want to do this. I want to get this out, write a little, cover letter, and get this printed out and try to promote this. I think that would please Srila Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj, my dear friend and god brother. Sri Caitanya-caritämrta ki jai. Samaveda Bhakta Brinda ki jai. Srila Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj ki jai. Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Bol. See you tomorrow. Guess when? Same time, same place, same station, in the haven of Hythe. Hare Krishna. See you tomorrow. Hari Bol.